Good science, by definition, allows for more than one opinion. Otherwise, you merely have the will of one man, which is the basis of cult.
If it's not in the frame, it doesn't exist.
I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not gonna take this anymore!
I'm funny how? I mean funny like I'm a clown and a loser?
Where you been?
Drunk. Wendy. Darling. Light of my life.
What's your one purpose in life?
To explode, of course.
I like death with sex. How about you, Casey? You like sex with death?
Yeah, so fuck up and die.
I knew you could do it.
He's full of silence. He's got so much silence in him.
Full of just silence.
Dude, silence like that of a Sicario coming to slit your throat right behind you, dude.
Do these come
Don't
off the cuff? Because the episodes keep starting this way, and you're just like fucking, you're on the ball. You're a professional podcaster.
I know how to do it, dude. So no, the entire time we're watching this movie, I kept going, "Oh no, Beeb, he's gonna get Sicario'd." And then I pretended to Sicario the dog. I was like, "God, I'm gonna Sicario the dog."
You are a Sicario.
Yeah, dude.
This is the Golden Cinema Knowledge podcast. That's Jordan, the silent whisper, Sicario Howard over there.
Yeah, dude. I am the Benicio, dude.
He's drinking his glass of blue. What is that?
Me and Benicio's got the same body. If you go look, it's window washer fluid.
It looks like it, yeah. Anyway, you might be wondering why we keep saying Sicario and Benicio. Today we're talking about Denis Villeneuve's movie Arrival, starring Amy Adams and Jeremy Renner. It's pretty good.
Yeah, sure.
We're talking about his other movie. That other one that we said like 10 times.
yeah. What was that bit? I don't even remember. He's a great director, man. He's a great director. Do you know it's your turn this week? So everybody out there in podcast land, every week on this beautiful show, if this is the first one you're watching and listening to,
if it is,
welcome.
Thank you. I hope there's one new person out there today listening or watching this one. If so, this one's for you, Tim.
Oh,
just in case.
Probably is. And if you are Tim, go to our Patreon and that in. Just Tim. I'm gonna make a Tim tier.
Yeah, Tim tier.
That's for Tim's.
We'll just make it the same as the top tier, but just $1 cheaper. Just for all the Tims out there.
The Tim discount, dude. Hell yeah.
It's my turn.
But it is your turn. Did you write a synopsis this time?
I actually did.
Yes. Okay, we're back to true form.
I'm such a good boy. The question is, can I get to it?
I don't know, man. You got internet over there?
Yeah, but I put it on my Google Docs, and I don't know how to get to that from my phone yet. I got a new phone.
Dead air is the best thing.
I'll cut it out.
All right.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I got to download it?
Dude, you know what's fun? In this movie, this Sicario, they say they're like all the like army men are like, stay frosty. And he said that in Aliens, dude. Do you think James Cameron and Denis Villeneuve got together? Like, hey, this is a good line.
I'm just gonna start using it in my daily life because I like it.
I know, I do. Yeah, at work, I'm like, do you want that hot or stay frosty?
All right, shut up. I mean, just kidding. Stay frosty. So, I didn't give this a second over, so let's see. I might be a little rusty. I haven't done it in a while. So
we love it, yeah.
Sicario, directed by Denis Villeneuve and written by Taylor Sheridan, follows Kate, a badass FBI agent played by Emily Blunt, as she's drafted into a special multi-departmental investigation into the cartel just south of the border. Matt, an ambiguous and aloof CIA agent, heads up the operation with his quiet and dangerous acquaintance, Alejandro, played by Benicio del Toro. Following some questionable tactics, they go into Juarez to extract a high-value prisoner and smuggle him back to the U.S. Kate, mostly being kept in the dark, is shaken by the brazen illegality of the operation. After Alejandro and Matt torture the suspect off-screen, they learn of a secret drug running tunnel. Meanwhile, Kate, trying to do the things by the book, almost gets killed by a crooked cop she starts investigating. Matt and Alejandro convince her their way is right, and with the backing of her own boss, she gets the go-ahead to continue with their arbitrary plans of disrupting the cartel's operations in order to bring their top guy out of hiding. It works, and Alejandro tracks the main boss back to his house after dismissively killing a cop who just so happens to be a regular old family man. Alejandro breaks into the Don's house. It is revealed earlier that his entire family was brutally killed by the cartel years ago, so Alejandro returns the favor by killing the Don's family right in front of him, then the man himself. It ends with Alejandro, who has taken a liking to Kate, threatening her to sign off on the legality of their mission as she is acting as a liaison of sorts. She begrudgingly submits. The film ends with the dead cop's family back in Mexico, trying to go about their lives as violence continues on around them, showing that despite the team's effort to enact meaningful change by any means necessary, nothing really changes at all.
Oof. Real dude.
Oof. So hopefully that was bearable. I feel like that was better than 10 straight
that's
minutes of
so-
trying to like
That's so much nicer.
being like, so, and then there's this guy, and then there's this other
Yeah.
guy, and he does not really important, so don't worry about that guy. We're gonna
Thank you
and then Alejandro
for writing it. Yes, thank you. That was very concise. I feel like I kind of, because this movie's not really that difficult to follow, but I definitely some motive issues, like some plot to
struggled
motive
the
is
first
really
time.
difficult. Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people do struggle the first time. I mean, I don't know. You'll have to tell me your first reaction, because my first time, I was like trying so hard to like, because they spell out a lot of shit for you. There's a lot of like operational type dialogue. And, you know, obviously I'm not a fucking Navy SEAL or anything. I know it's surprising looking at my body, you think I was. But
Yeah, stay frosty.
I know.
That seems pretty important.
Stay frosty. I'm a Navy SEAL. Jordan's a Sicario, obviously, but we do a
Yeah,
podcast
clearly.
as our side hustle. But the first time watching it, I was like, okay, so like they're saying all this shit. What's going on? Like, what's the plan? Like, and then obviously, since we're following Kate as like the protagonist, she's like doesn't know some stuff, so information slowly gets leaked to us, but it's still all pretty vague. But that's the point, because that's like what they're doing doesn't really have like an ultimate purpose until it kind of does. You know what I mean? So, but what was your? Because this is your first time watching it, right? So walk us through. This is like my second or third time. Walk us through and tell us, what were your expectations? What was your first impressions?
Okay. So I went into this knowing it had a lot of odds stacked against it for myself personally. Just like true personal opinion. This
Like
is
hype?
not a movie. This is not a movie I care about. No, just context. This is so Denis Villeneuve's like one of my favorite top 10 directors of all time. Everything I've seen by him, I'm floored, and his balance is flawless. And so I was like, this movie came out, and I went, oh, cool. He directed a kind of like, an intense border show, cop show, and I was like, whatever. It's just not something I care about. Even though it has his pull as a director, I still just kind of was like, nah. And so I skipped over it the whole time.
I get what you're going for, because that is what stopped it from being a 5-star movie for me. I rated it 4.5 stars on Letterboxd, and that half star,
wild. But yeah,
I think it's maybe his best movie. But second
What?
best probably in my mind. But that half star, I'm gonna let you get back to it. But that half star is fully. I'm like, the content of it doesn't really ring for me. The type of movie it is, like, I think it does everything great, but the type of movie it is not something I would normally be like head over heels about.
Well, can I just tell you, the number one suggested movie, if you liked this movie, is American Sniper. So I just like, I don't know, it clearly, I understand. It's just, that's kind of where, God, I mean, the only comparison I really want to like draw is the Coen brothers, and they do No Country for Old Men, and I feel like they took like Anton Chigurh, and they made that archetype for Alejandro, and they wanted him to fit that kind of like that intimidating and that quiet brooding and that like pure assassination and like flawless like diction, and like it happens. But I think I like was frustrated because I found it so predictable.
That's
it was
weird.
It was weird.
I don't
Dude.
agree. I don't agree with that assessment at all.
See, that's what's wild though, because like there's so many scenes.
I'm like
where he comes
Alejandro
in.
and Anton Chigurh could not be more different in my mind.
Well, see, that's what's wild. No. I think they are different, yes. But I feel, as I was watching this movie, I felt like they were just, that was like the archetype they were trying to portray from him, and his intimidation tactics. And then, like, the reason I'm even more frustrated is, like, originally, Alejandro was written to be more charismatic. How much more charismatic? I'm not 100% sure. I didn't get too deep into it, but they like in an interview, Sheridan or whatever. What the hell's the writer's name?
Yeah, Taylor Sheridan.
So,
and sadly, I normally don't even mention the writers, unfortunately, unless it's extra important. But when I first saw this movie, I saw it because of Taylor Sheridan, not Denis Villeneuve. I did not really know who Denis Villeneuve was when I saw this movie. I saw it because I liked Taylor Sheridan at that point, kind of. Because I had seen, because Wind River had just come out, and so I went back and watched Sicario, and I liked Hell or High Water, which, having rewatched a second time, go listen to that episode, Hell or High Water. It doesn't hold up as good on a second rewatch, but the first time I watched it, I really liked it, and so I'm like, oh, it's the same guy who wrote those movies, like Sicario. And then Sicario ended up being my favorite of the bunch. Wind River's okay, but then since then, Taylor Sheridan is a fucking hack. I mean, he's okay, but like Those Who Wish Me Dead was awful. And then I think Yellowstone, which he created or helped create at least, is also
that was his right. Yeah,
it's pretty awful, but
yeah.
Anyway, back it up.
But it just
I could see.
So anyways,
I could see.
Let me get to his scene, because I was upset because Alejandro was supposed to be more charismatic and talkative, and I was like, oh, that'd actually be kind of fun to see a character that isn't, because it's like he plays these, like, everyone had their, like, they were all written. Everyone felt so written, like, especially Josh Brolin's character felt like every one-liner he had, I was like, oh yeah, I saw that coming. Like, it was just so weird. Like his style of, like, him being like, he's like the wild card of the bunch, and like he's kind of that, like, he wants to
he's the charisma.
He wants to rule.
Yeah,
right.
It's not like particularly deep or anything, because the main character of this movie, the protagonist, is Alejandro.
Right.
It's not even. Yeah. It's not even.
I think
really.
Emily Blunt. Well, Emily Blunt just. Well, yeah, exactly. Emily Blunt is just our surrogate, and so we get to view. That's the only way this movie built tension is through her, and so, because that's what sucks is, like, when Emily Blunt left, when Alejandro at the end, when he goes and he confronts the guy, there's no tension. I feel nothing. Like, when he goes and he, like, kills him, and then it's, like, frustrating. Like, the scene just, I don't know. He's like, finish your meal, and then he shoots him, like, immediately. And there was a scene beat when they're talking, and he mentions his wife and daughter, the Don guy or whatever, the main guy. And I thought it'd been so cool if he killed him right there. Like, I don't know. There's times where I'm like, oh, it would have really, like, surprised me for the structure of this scene. But the scene played out exactly how I expected it to.
Yeah.
And this is I mean, no fault on, like,
well, that's
it's just
I get it, because that's one of my only other literally my only other gripe is that scene felt like it was from a sort of a different movie.
Yeah,
like it did.
I hated it.
It didn't really. I still liked it, but I like it because it sheds light on the only real interesting character, which is Alejandro, and is, like, more about his finality arc, which is, like, slowly revealed in the movie, that it's like he's the one with the arc. You know what I mean?
See, and I feel like it wasn't slowly revealed. See, that's the thing. In the original script, you find out more about his backstory earlier on, and I think it would be more punctuated to be like, to get little breadcrumbs of his life, and then you don't need, because, dude, it's really, like, I just can't believe how blatant it is, where they do the tunnel scene. She catches him, you know, he shoots her, he comes back, and then Josh Brolin, like, beats her up, and literally Josh Brolin goes like, you know, chill out, baby. His family got killed, and his daughter in a vat of acid. Yeah, like, that's like the dialogue is, like, in a vat of acid. Yeah, and then it cuts, and it's like him, and, like, I know that he takes
So
the cop
there's like
hostage.
there's like 3 or 4 other scenes before that talk about it, that allude to it. There's one whole scene where they literally is like, sorry, what happened to your family? He was a prosecutor. Like, they bring up him being a prosecutor early on. And about
right, I know when he talks to that guy.
I mean, by the time like the only reason Josh Brolin's
I just hated that
character-
reveal. I don't know. Yeah, Josh Brolin's
I don't know if it's a
reveal.
reveal. I think for me it was just details. Like, I feel like it's people like he's given the gory details for like a shock factor for Emily Blunt's character to justify Alejandro's motivations, because them arbitrarily dying is not.
I just didn't feel like
as
we needed
extreme.
it.
I don't know. It works. I think it works. I think it's a little bit extra for Josh Brolin, though. I agree a little bit. Like, that's just his character, because that's the first time in the movie we see him mad, and so I buy it because the whole time. That's why I used aloof in my description, because he's so just like, oh yeah, we're just I wear flip flops to this fucking high board meeting. You know what I mean? And we're just like interrogating these fucking illegals and shit. Like, whatever, it's all chill, bro. But then, like, when she punches him, he, like, loses his shit. And I feel like he's like, yeah, the way he says that, it's like, I feel like that's Josh Brolin trying to be like, how's this guy who's so chill and cool all the time? It's like he's showing the cracks in his, like, that's such a face that he puts on. I'm interested to watch this. I still want to watch the sequel. I heard it's okay. I just didn't have any interest because no Denis Villeneuve in it, didn't direct it.
I'm just curious. And I highly doubt that
I'd be interested
Deakins
to see. No, I mean, it looks good. I heard it's still technically pretty good, but
yeah. Well, that's the thing. It's funny. I didn't know.
Mess, but
Yeah, I didn't know Deakins shot this, and when it showed some like panning and airplane shots, I really was like, I'm like, I wonder. It's funny how like he does have a mark, dude. He has such a like
he's got a look
quality.
Right? I don't know what it
yeah,
is.
he's got look that like I like for a second I was like oh, I wouldn't be surprised, because I think he did Blade Runner, so like I was just kind of like, oh, did they have a relationship already before Blade Runner?
Did he do it? Do you know if he did any of other Villeneuve's
I don't know if he did Arrival or anything. I haven't looked. I didn't look into those, but
all of Villeneuve's movies have they're so good cinematography.
There's fucking he knows what he's doing with the camera too. Like
100%.
he clearly knows what he wants.
But,
like his movies, that's the thing. It's a technical, like the look of this movie, and even honestly the performances and the acting, and like each like the tension that's built. It's all 5-star. It's all 5-star, baby. Like it's really good. He knows what he's doing. So like it's just kind of one of those things. Like this is like watching. Like I don't want to watch The Hurt Locker. Like I don't care about those kind of movies. You know. I don't really care about this kind of like movie.
Yeah, but I feel
the
like
story I connect to. So it's like technically it's great.
Did you watch it on your phone? No, you watched it with your fiance. Because it's like
it's like
I don't know. That's like to me that's like missing the point. Because it's like I get it. No, I get where you're coming from, but it's like a lot of people. I feel like a lot of the criticism come to this movie. I was on Reddit afterwards, and a lot of people are like, "Oh, this is like your typical, like The Hurt Locker or American Sniper," those are not necessarily like big pro-military movies. Like they have a message about like,
but they are pro. This is definitely pro. This is definitely pro.
No,
like
I don't think so at all. This seems like such a hardcore criticism of it to me. Like, and I think maybe that's why I get more out of it, because it's just like if I felt it was pro and very much like, look at those boys getting it done, I would be like, oh, yeah, I hate but this.
Dude, I think it can have both, but it's like,
well, it's interesting that's the perspective, because I don't think one is right or wrong. You know what I mean? It's just interesting.
Sure, right, and the only reason I think it's like, I don't know. I guess it's just hard for me to get involved in it, because like Emily, like I have to be Emily Blunt's character in this movie, and like every step of the way, like the second she's in the board meeting to take like the assignment, and she's apprehensive, but she doesn't like make questions, and so it's like, okay, I understand, that's her character. She's a little timid. She's seasoned. I mean, they even talk about that. They brief it a little bit, like, right, she's somewhat seasoned, but she's still kind of new. She's like she's the perfect scapegoat or whatever, you know. She's like the perfect person to have, and then you find out later, like the larger structure of it, that she's there just to sign paperwork so they can get through. legality. It's so weird how they kind of do that, where they're like,
Yeah,
oh,
so-
you're there for legality, but yet they're like, we're doing nothing's gonna be legal. And
Yeah, it's just so the
I'm like,
CIA.
why is she there? The whole dude, literally the entire movie, when she accepts this assignment, I'm like, why is she there? And then just keeps going, and it's like literally, it's like I'm like, she like doesn't want to be there, and like her instincts are telling her to leave, but then I guess it's just like that's what we're supposed. Her character is just like she gets manipulated enough by Matt that like he's like, oh, it's for the greater good. You're gonna you're gonna be a good cop if you do this. And so she's like, okay, I'll go along with it still. But like, there's so many times like after the scene, which is obviously the greatest scene of the whole movie, is the border crossing scene when in that
Yeah, rules.
they first have to kidnap that dude. Anyways, it's like that, like after that scene, she still agrees to continue going on, even though she's like doesn't want to, or doesn't do it. And that just right there for me, I was like, God, I just didn't feel justified enough for her to stay. And that's, I don't know. These are just like
Yeah.
they're just criticisms of the movie where I'm like, I don't know. It's fine though. I guess it's like it's fine. It's just,
It depends on what you would like see as acceptable, because it's like I kind of get it, because her motivation is like, oh, I feel like she's more like trying to convince herself that it's good. So I don't think she's actually like, she is manipulated by Matt. I don't think she's fully buying it, but she keeps telling herself from a personal perspective of like, oh, this is how I do real change. Like, this is what are we doing? We're not doing any real cause. But more importantly, that's her just trying to convince herself, because she knows it feels wrong, because she has to set her own morality on it. But it's like, that's why she's so wigged out when she gets the AOK from her direct supervisor. That's like, if you think you're stepping out of bounds, you're not. Do this. Like, you're getting the AOK from the higher ups. This is what we do. This is how the war on drugs and the war on crime and like all that and everything dealing with that shakes out now. And it's like, get real. And she just can't let that go. And so I think her trying to do all that stuff is to convince, like, she wants to be by the books and be this like, oh, that's how I get ahead in the world, is by doing it right. And then she keeps trying to be like, no, it's fine, it's good. Like, but that's not the case, even though everyone's telling her like, no, it's cool. And that's why it kind of ends on that note too, where it's like, it's cool, but it's not. She knows it's not, but she does it anyway, because that's the system that she spent her whole career getting into. You know what I mean?
yeah, I mean, yeah, dude, the end scene though is pretty cool. Like it's a great scene when he's like, sign it and stuff. But I mean, it's a little I don't know. I don't know, man. I feel bad because I'm like, I don't want to like, I'm not shitting on the performers. It's just not my movie. That I can like, that is like, that's the last thing to take from it, is like, I'm not
No,
criticizing anyone who likes it. I feel
it's
like,
cool to have an opinion. You're not
and I
saying this movie is objectively bad or anything. It's
No.
subjectively you
No,
didn't enjoy it, and that's I
Right.
want that. Obviously, we want disdaining opinions, because first of all, we never have them. It's
I
like,
know, right?
It's like
Rarely.
one in every 15
No, but
episodes we have
it's
a different
making me-
opinion.
it's making me like really confused, because I'm like, did I
Did we
miss
watch
something?
the
But I
same
don't.
movie? Honestly,
But
though,
I don't feel like I missed anything though. That's what sucks. Is I was watching it and I was like, okay, I was trying to be
I will
enthralled, and
I
like
will
I was
say-
trying to get into it, and I like couldn't get into it. I'm like, if I saw it in theaters, I think I'd have a different opinion, because it definitely like there are scenes, especially like that. There's so many little details, and there's so much like the audio and the music come together, and the Foley and all the sound design and everything about it come together, and I'm like, I feel like it fell a little flat for me, and so I feel like I should have seen it in theaters.
I didn't see it in theaters, but I
No.
kind of agree, because my first viewing of this, I liked it a lot. Like, let me rephrase. I really liked it, but I kind of felt the same way as you. Like, I felt like it was like fine overall, but what I really enjoyed, that really stuck with me, was the really great sequences that were edited really well together. Like, it's all the technical shit that stuck with me. I'm like, the score and the editing and like the tension and stuff like that. Like, I don't remember any of the characters' names. Like, I didn't give a fuck about any of their stories. I didn't
Right.
You know what I mean? I don't fucking know I couldn't explain the plot to you after I just was like, no, this movie's vibes all the way. That was my initial opinion, but like, on it, so I would have probably rated it 3.5 or 4 stars if you would have asked me last week. I would have said like, oh yeah, this is Villeneuve. Like, it's really good, but I probably prefer most of his other movies. Like, I prefer Prisoners. I prefer a lot of those.
Yeah.
But having rewatched it, it clicks a lot better for me about like what the movie's trying to say, but also just like it. Normally this would bother me because it's like normally I would consider it like maybe a pacing issue, but it's well connected and it's good pacing. But like this movie is like 90% just fucking awesome sequences. You know what I mean?
Right.
There's the whole sequence at the house at the beginning, which is fucking sick. There's all the border crossing stuff.
I guess it's like I almost wish that
There's the tunnel.
they didn't have an Emily Blunt character. They didn't have her because I feel like I still would have had the same like impact and enjoyment if I just like if she was just oh man, I don't know. It's just probably her character just kind of bothered me a little bit. And
Yeah, if they would have,
that's where it comes down to like I feel like a few fixes where it would have been cool. It just felt like everyone was so stuck in their archetype. So like it felt written. Everyone felt so written. Like it felt very predictable for everybody's character. And like I knew how it was gonna end. And even when like he goes back and I didn't know, clearly I don't know like the fine details, obviously, but it's like him going back and confronting her, it like felt dude, it's so funny. I keep going to No Country because his character really felt like when he's like, sign it. Like he had this like call it. Like it felt like the same pacing and he had the same demeanor and the same like delivery.
He's got the cadence. He's got the cadence for sure. But
right,
like,
and so
Anton
just kind of like
is a full-blown self-interested psychopath, and it's like, but I feel like Alejandro is like he's so much more of a sympathetic character, and he shows full-blown empathy like several times, especially with Kate. And so I think that's like, if anything, I wish that relationship was more developed because it's like Alejandro's the main character. And I mean, the movie's called Sicario, which is what he is essentially. He just kind of goes just to fuck these guys up, and he works for whoever does it because he's just an agent of chaos with his own interests.
He works for both sides or any side.
He works for any side. Us. He works for any side as long as it hurts his enemy, you know?
Yeah.
And that's, I agree that I wish instead of following Emily Blunt's character, it would have just kind of like been more with him, but I also feel like maybe it wouldn't have been as effective if I'm just like, here's his whole story.
I get we need an anchor. Yeah. I understand her. I guess it's like, I don't know.
Well, it does feel like a snip of this world. Like this is just a part of it. You know what I mean?
But it just, I don't know. And then
she saw a glimpse, and then this is like you're catching just the the climax of Alejandro's arc, which feels weird.
Yeah, it feels weird, but actually that doesn't really bother me as much. And I'm like, I don't really mind. It was kind of interesting even to have like I liked showing. I mean, I kind of think it's like pandering a little like, not a little forced, I guess, if you will, showing the cop, police, the like border cop, the actual like Mexico cop guy, and showing he has a son and like to show him, and then it's like it's almost because like that's where I mean it like it feels very pro to me, like pro cop and like pro like drug, like we need like drug enforcement because that cop was working and then he kind of just like aimlessly dies. And I understand you can just like you can explain that away as like he just got caught up in this thing. He was doing something that's that's for drug run. It's dangerous. He's in a dangerous world.
Yeah.
And so he gets killed aimlessly. I just kind of feel like his death was like kind of pointless. It was pointless to build his life up for him to die.
His whole that's the whole thing. His whole sequence said better the same exact thing that All Quiet on the Western Front tried to say in a whole movie, where it's just like your life, your whatever who you are, you're a person too, is inconsequential at the end of the day. But and I get that. It does feel a little heavy-handed, like you're saying.
It's heavy-handed, yeah. But I liked it, though. I do. It's like, that's the thing. It's like, that's where it is. It's like,
I think that comes back that if they didn't have that, then it would be much more jariing to jump between characters because I feel like they needed it for the pacing, if anything. Like, they could have cut his story out and told his message in a much simpler way. But it's like the fact that they jump to his character makes it okay to then jump to Alejandro's character away from our quote unquote anchor character of Emily Blunt. Because if we didn't have him, then it'd be weird. So I do think that it's like, and again, it doesn't really bother me in this movie, but normally that would bother me. Like from a screenwriting perspective, it would bother me.
That's what I mean.
It's
I just feel like
it jumps to
this was
him,
just so
it
written.
jumps to them.
But
It's just a series of sequences. Like I feel like it
And I
pretty
think-
much comes together. But
what year did you see this? Did you see this in like 16 or 15 or what?
yeah,
I think
it was like
around
shortly.
15, right?
It was like
It was in that.
Like I said, I think it was when I watched Wind River, which was like 2016, 2017.
So you saw it, you saw it a couple years after. So
Yeah, I
kind
saw
of,
it like a year or two afterwards.
and I feel like that. I don't know. I feel like that might have maybe changed. I don't know if I would take such parallels. I mean, we did a go listen to our No Country episode. We did
I think it's just because
an episode on
Josh
them.
Brolin's in both of them.
And
Just
no, that was no, but really though, having Josh Brolin in it and then having like this archetype that like from the beginning, I was like, oh, he kind of feels like that.
Taylor
He feels like
Taylor
this guy could be
Sheridan. He basically the Coen Bros, No Country for Old Men, kind of kickstarted the whole like neo anti-western genre for that came out in the 2010s. Taylor Sheridan is a direct he saw No Country for Old Men and was like, yeah, dude, that's my fucking calling. And then he went and made Hell or High Water
Hell or
and
High
then
Water.
this, and because these are all like definitely a fuckload to No Country, and then No Country was a fuckload to like Eastwood and whatever, you know what I mean? But so I see where you're coming from. I totally see where you're coming from. I disagree about the Alejandro character, but I feel like Benicio del Toro definitely was trying, his acting might have been trying to be more scruff than, because he's like, I'm a tortured, instead of being like, I'm a psychopath, he's like, I'm a tortured soul I'm just so full of rage and out for vengeance, which I get, but it's like, that's not the focus. If that was the focus, and I'm writing a story right now that has a similar character as someone who's just kind of similar to Alejandro's character, just full of all this just unbridled rage, but it's that's not the focus of Sicario really. So it just kind of it's just a part of it. I don't know. I feel like it's the sum of its parts is this movie for sure. I think all together, if you look at any one, technically, I think it's a masterpiece from all the technical elements. But
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, if you look at it from a screenplay or
it's flawless.
structure, it's any one piece would be enough to I don't know, something about it. It works together, kind of its messiness really works for me. I don't know. I do think the messiness, I was frustrated by that more the first time I watched it. The second time I watched it, I'm like, that's the point.
Sure. And I mean, I can fully, see that and agree with that. That was that. It is the point of it. It's even if the script, I guess the script just feels very simple, which is just fine. That's it.
The characters
it can
are
work.
pretty simple. I'm rooting for Kate, but I'm not it's because
I don't know.
I think Emily Blunt does. I'm rooting for her, I guess. She's just her life is her job, I guess, and she never.
I mean,
she
is,
doesn't
right,
even put
they
on
explain
deodorant,
that.
and so
Daniel
Daniel Kaluuya.
Yeah.
who- I forgot because when I saw this movie, I didn't
Why-
know who he was.
Right, same.
But now
And
I'm
so, when I watched it this time, I was like, oh, this is so it's cool to see him. And then I literally was like, oh, so he's going to be in this for 3 minutes because I didn't even know he was in this movie.
And I'm
And
glad,
he's in it
I'm
for
glad
about
they,
3 minutes.
Well, no, they bring him back in the second half quite a bit, but I'm glad they did. He's
in
got
like-
he's
he's
got
in
45
like-
minutes of runtime. Did we watch the same movie? I'm losing
No,
my mind
no.
over here.
He's in he's in 6 scenes max.
I'm gonna go back. He's in
You're
a
gonna time it.
third of the movie. He's in
Okay. You're giving 45 minutes. I'm gonna look if he's in 45 minutes of this movie.
I bet you he's in a half an
16
hour.
minutes, maybe.
Half an hour.
I'll give you 16 minutes.
I'll split the difference. Let's call it 22 minutes.
Yeah.
I think he's in 22 minutes, and I'm glad they brought him back. But if anything, that was the most
Oh,
he served no purpose other than
Pointless,
I
yeah.
like that he's there because I like his
and then,
screen presence. But that's
and then
all.
when the dude, it's weird. I guess the only reason he exists there, I know, dude, I love him.
well,
And,
he's
the
trying
only-
to be even more the straight man to
He's
he's
the one
saying
that's
the
being,
shit that Emily
rational,
Blunt's character should be saying.
right?
Is
And-
yo, get us on the fucking same page.
But
when
then
we
that's
walk. Yeah.
But that's what kind of bums me out is it even you. I can tell that Emily Blunt's character is kind of like she's getting like kind of enraptured or not, it's just like what is it like emboldened like and empowered and I kind of seeing like, oh, this is like Josh Brolin's getting things done, even though it's giving me PTSD. It's like even though this is like really crazy and it's like and it kind of like that traumatizes her and it gets her like to go
she
along.
Feels like it's
I get that.
proactive and everything,
right?
but...
Exactly. And so when like and having Daniel Kaluuya come back and then get made fun of by Josh Brolin's character and like having him be like, you know, having him say rational things, but then like everyone else around him be like, oh, that doesn't work. And then they throw in that like arbitrary. That part confused me a little bit, but I think I understood. Like there's just when she goes into the bank, then there's like a crooked cop, right? That's like on Arizona's side or whatever, and that's the Ted character or whatever, the dude.
Yeah, John
dude
Bernthal,
like,
which I did not remember that part. See, that's the thing. I like that. Yeah. I wish that section was kind of bigger. Because I really liked that scene, but I did not remember it at all.
Oh, I'm sure because it's very quick and it's just
fast and it's just
it's just kind of like
teach her a lesson.
Too convenient. I know, right? It's really, and I think that scene is just there to build more trust to like Matt and to like to get her more into their side of like business and stuff.
But that's what movies do, homie. Like every movie does that.
I understand. I just didn't care. That's fair. That's my ending. That's where I'm like, I get it. So
I get it because it's like I feel like as a regular moviegoer, you go to the movies and you attach to one or two things. You attach to either characters, so you want to see a character get through these trials and tribulations, or you attach to a plot. Like this has an interesting story. Where's it going? This movie doesn't really have either of those things. Like the plot is kind of messy. It's undescribed. It's secondary. The characters are pretty much the same, are sort of secondary. So I can get, like, I think that I only liked it originally. Like, I'm surprised more people liked it, like the general audiences, because I feel like people liked it, kind of. But I'm surprised because this seems like more like, oh, a cinephile would like this, or like a hardcore right-winger that doesn't understand it. Those are the two people that like this.
That's the vibe.
Well, that's Taylor Sheridan later, but I feel like that's
kind of seeps through the cracks.
That's the writing, but I think Denis Villeneuve takes it and gives it the actual themes, gives the actual like tone of the movie of like we're just throwing. We don't know what we're doing. We're just at this point it's chaos. We're just throwing a handful and seeing what hits because we don't know what else to do. And we will not admit defeat ever. We'll never say that we're wrong ever. You know what I mean? And so to me, that seems like more of a criticism. But I think maybe that, I mean, I don't know Taylor Sheridan. I don't know Denis Villeneuve. I wish I did. But I do think that maybe you're onto something. Like there is a conflict in tone between maybe, because I feel like if this screenplay was given to like,
James Cameron. James Cameron would take this and run with it, and
like
I don't think it would have the same.
Michael Bay when he did his like 16 Soldiers phase or whatever that movie was, where he tried to do the military thing. Like a different director would. I mean,
Clint Eastwood would have taken this and done something with it more because it
would have been more like, look at these look at this, like we're the only ones that, so you can have your way of life.
I think like Clint Eastwood could get like the, you know, Emily Blunt characters. Like her shock down, you know, and her like her kind of like her development, you know, fine. I don't know. Anyways, I just think it's just interesting because like all of his other movies, like Prisoners and Arrival and like Blade Runner and Dune, those are the only ones I've seen by him, and they're all so. It's just weird because there's such a different style of movie that he would take on. That like it's kind of weird that it's just weird that he made this movie to me. In his filmography.
Well, I think this is definitely one of his older ones at this point. I want to go back and watch Incendies, which everyone says is like his big. Like he's made movies before that, but that was like his breakout movie.
I know. I haven't seen it either.
And apparently it's more similar to this, but
see, and that might.
So that's probably why, you know.
Right.
And Taylor Sheridan was, you know, they're like, we got this new Taylor Sheridan script, we got this Denis Villeneuve guy. Let's fucking let's see what happens, and then Sicario, you know, because I want to rewatch Prisoners again because on paper that one would be my favorite, but on paper, because I mean, like it's a very Fincher-esque type thriller.
Totally,
you know what I mean? which is definitely more up my alley than, say, Sicario, because I made a bold statement earlier saying I think this is one of his better movies.
You're like, this is your favorite one by him, is what you said. I've got it.
I said it's like one or
You
two.
said this is
One or
your
two.
favorite movie by him.
I think Arrival.
Which I was like, what are you talking? Arrival.
Is the
Arrival. It's funny because Blade Runner is my jam, but Arrival, I might like Arrival more in Denis Villeneuve. I mean, I think I don't know, dude. I don't know. Blade Runner.
I think
is
Arrival
amazing,
is like just a tighter, more like it's like more
Well,
his own thing. Like Blade
I
Runner
was
is
waiting
great, but
for-
it
I was
has
waiting-
it has all the baggage. Like there's so much more
That's the
baggage
thing. True.
attached to Blade Runner.
I agree, but Blade
And,
Runner,
like the huge world and like
but he
doing
makes
it's a
the-
sequel. It's great.
but he-
Obviously,
but he makes-
2049
but he,
rules.
He makes a really intimate story. That's what like even with Arrival's a huge world.
I think I like Arrival most because it's like it's an original thing. Like it's original
true.
screenplay.
No, I agree.
where
Yeah,
everything else
Arrival's-
he's done after that is like
Well,
a
and I was kind of waiting.
sequel and
I was
or
waiting for that, like,
adaptations.
All of his stuff, he kind of throws in his own vulnerability and his own kind of twist into it. And where Sicario just kind of did exactly what I expected it to. I don't know. I just kind of was like, because like Arrival like blew me away when it because I was like, I get this movie. This is easy. I'm totally following it. And then it kind of does like its own thing in the third act, and you're like, whoa, cool. Okay, this is cool. This is like, I don't know.
I think the very fact that we have such differing opinions on Sicario makes it the better movie in my not better than Arrival necessarily, but like makes it so strong is because it feels, and this might be by part of it's by design, part of it may be by accident, but it feels so multifaceted that if you choose to basically what you take out of this movie can be so different depending on your perspective. Because it's like, again, I feel like someone like my stepdad would watch this and have your opinion but love it. You know what I mean?
Right.
But it's like, but I had such a differing opinion than that. Like I did not see it that way at all. But I think it's just about which frame of mind you want to attach to. Like I feel like the movie is not necessarily has like a hardcore mission statement other than like this crooked cop, like you don't know what he's going through too. You know, it's like everyone is empathy.
Yeah,
like I feel like that's its only real big statement. Other than that, I feel like this movie, it's like this situation's a fucking disaster. It's a fucking mess, and this is how we're dealing with it.
I mean, I think that, and I think
and
the ending scene
take what you will out of it.
Right, and the ending scene is if it didn't end how it did, I would have really hated if it was just the scene with Emily Blunt and the gun, and then it cut to credits. I'd have been like, ugh.
The ending with Back in Mexico was pretty good.
Back in Mexico, and then you hear the gunshots, and it's like, and then they keep playing, and it's kind of just like, oh, okay, I get it. Nothing works. It doesn't work.
That's the theme
right.
of the movie right
that's
there.
That's the like, yeah. And I'm like, okay, that does make me appreciate it a lot more.
See,
like,
Emily Blunt seemed like good for the character because like he was like, don't ever point a gun at me again or I'll kill you. And then she does again. And it's just like, and he's just like, you little curmudgeon. Like she's like trying to still, like she won't back down from her values, but that's kind of like she's the wrench in the machine, which is kind of like interesting.
Well, she didn't get corrupted. That's the nice thing.
I don't know, man.
She's not a murderer.
I'm interested to see the sequel because I'm like,
is she in it? I wouldn't.
She's not, but
okay.
But Josh Brolin and Benicio del Toro are. They're the main characters, both of them.
Well, they're the Sicarios, dude.
I know.
Gotta
Well,
be
that's why I'm interested. It's like if they continued it on, like it's supposed to be like a trilogy, apparently.
Oh yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
And so I'd be interested to see just what they do if they flesh those characters out more, and if I actually want that or not. Because I'm like, well, it's like I like the characters, but like I feel like the ambiguity of this movie is like the point. It's like the whole point is that it's just muddled. Like everything's muddled, and this whole situation, this, take whatever you want out about it. If it's the drug war, if it's immigration, like whatever, it's all fucking muddled. And obviously the FBI director is getting orders from someone above even him because they don't know what to do other than to basically have the CIA guy. The only reason he has her along in the first place is so he can sign off on operating inside the United States. That's like the whole reason she's there from their perspective. Right. And it's like, that's such a flimsy, weird red tape. They're like, okay, whatever. That's just the one red tape that makes them happy. Sure. Even though it's so inconsequential. And I'm like, that to me feels like the point. And it's like, and it's weird that that's the driving force though. Like that's weird that like this weird like okay inconsequential red tape type moment is basically what fuels the plot and the whole reason she's actually there, but it just like doesn't matter at all. It's just it does feel weird. But I don't know.
It just feels like just doesn't. It's just not like
Yeah.
it's not super strong in a narrative.
Yeah.
But everything looks beautiful, and that's kind of my takeaway.
Yeah, themes and character and story
And that's-
aside,
and
those are
that's
not
what
the strong points. The strong points
this
are
actually-
the filmmaking.
This actually makes me. It makes me happy, and it makes me. I feel actually more confident in my critique of Hell or High Water
Yeah.
because it's Taylor Sheridan, and I'm kind of just like that's kind of the like crux of it is like he just isn't like a writer I admire. I'm not. He's not the strong. He's fine, I think that's it.
I think he's gotten worse ever since because he made everyone was like, this is like the new Western Frontier trilogies, like Hell or High Water, Sicario, and then why am I forgetting the other one? Holy shit! I just said it a minute ago.
Was it Wind River?
Wind River. Good lord, yeah, Wind River.
That was his other one.
But
I haven't seen that one.
he wrote and directed that one. And Wind River is pretty good, despite like I think it has a lot of the same flaws as like Hell or High Water. But it is pretty good overall. It's a little messy, but I do think that crowd of like, oh, he's making movies for us. Like I feel like he got on that train and was like he got propped up by it, and they're like, oh, Taylor Sheridan, he's the next best thing. He's the only one really telling how real America feels. And so that's why Yellowstone is fucking trash. But if you like Yellowstone out there, I mean that's great, but it's garbage. and his last movie was not very good. It had its moments too, though. That's the thing. It has its moments. But Sicario,
I don't know. I guess this movie just wasn't weird enough for me either. I don't know.
Well, we've said this before with other films where it's like, and we've said it about PTA where it's just like, I don't care about the plot. At the end of the day, I don't remember the plot. I don't remember some of the characters. I remember how these scenes made me feel with the filmmaking, and that's the power of cinema. And that's what I take away from this movie most of all, and what I regard to the highest, because the editing and the tension with the music of every action, every set piece is so good and so memorable that's I think what pushes this movie above. If those scenes didn't work nearly as well, this would be 3 stars at best. Like, but it's like those scenes I feel like are the best of their kind. Like I can't think of much that does like these intense, super ratcheting up, like 10 minutes of really good tension. Like it's just they do these scenes so well, and that's what the movie is mostly about. Like not about the theme or anything. It's just that's Denis Villeneuve right there being like, I just want you just filling these intense scenes. It's like
he's a strong filmmaker, so I'm gonna go home remembering a few of those scenes. There's a couple of shots that like when they're walking and it's like dusk and they're all in the like tactical gear, and they're like cool. that's a really good shot. Like it's like there are shots I will it'll be imprinted in my head, and I'll like
obviously Roger Deakins is the GOAT.
I mean, clearly, it's like,
but I don't know. I want to know what other movies he's filmed for Villeneuve, because something about Villeneuve's color grade, I don't know what it is in his movies. He's got the color grade down, and I don't know.
He does.
It seems like that's such a weird thing, but it's like somehow
because
stylistic
brothers
and
have
vibrant,
their own,
but not like
everyone.
It's still realistic. I don't know.
Yeah, everyone has like all the like. There are like a lot of stylistic directors that have their own color grade,
and
he's got a look like Fincher's look. I feel like they're pretty similar.
I do
think
that
a good parallel.
I think that him and Fincher are the closest as far as like
they
really controlled type.
Controlled is a good They're kind of muted. It's like muted colors, but they're deep. They're deep and rich.
They're deep. Yeah, they're super rich because like all the scenes of like the huge wide shots of Juarez. Of just like all these like super cramped like homes.
Oh, dude, that
on the mountainsides, like those shots were always just like, God damn, man, like that just looks like that's the concrete jungle, baby. You know what I mean?
I know,
like,
right? No, it really does. Get you nitty gritty.
It's cool. Anyway, give me a money minute. I'm gonna get a Reddit. Yeah.
And we have a Travis.
Sharing a brain. Oh, we do.
We have a Travis. So we'll get that in 2 seconds too. This was this box office, or excuse me, their budget was 30 million, which shows. I mean, that it kind of that's
Yeah.
exactly. I literally would
That
have
would've
said
been-
this
that
was
would've been
probably
my guess.
28 to 30 million dollars is
Yeah.
what I would have said
Same.
for this movie. But it grossed 84 or about 85, 84.9. So it's like that's a solid takeaway right there. That's
I mean,
like-
it makes sense why he kept being to make bigger and bigger projects. You know what I mean? It's like from here, it's like Arrival's pretty fucking ambitious, and that's when they started. And then after that, they started giving him big franchises. So I'm really excited to see what he does because it's like I love Dune, but it's just like I always am scared when filmmakers get sucked into something.
He said, okay, if we can trust him, because I don't know, he might just follow the money. Who knows? But if we can trust him, he said after Dune, he wants to make something intimate again. He wants to make something small. He doesn't want to do
like a huge sci-fi epic. That's what he's been doing
Dune,
for like the last 8 ever since Arrival came out.
Right, exactly.
It's like
Honestly,
2016 or something.
Arrival.
It's
Yeah,
2017.
right. He's been these huge projects. But that was the thing. He said that after Blade Runner too. So I don't know if it's going to be
After
true.
Blade Runner,
But he said it.
he's like,
but after
yeah,
Blade
I'm
Runner,
gonna go do something grounded. He does 2 Dune movies.
right. Well, no, that was the thing. But after Blade Runner, he wasn't as exhausted. So after Dune, he said he was like I'm really exhausted. And so I hope he does something a little different. But dude, Dune was $165 million to make, and it grossed almost $500 million. Like yeah.
Nice.
It's like a $500 million movie, dude. It's a
Dune's
fucking
really
crazy.
good, man. I'm excited to see. I'm really excited to see part 2 because I really loved the first Dune. And we talked
too,
about it
yeah.
a little bit.
Did we
last
do
week?
it?
When did
We did. No, because we did a Dune series, and it might be a bonus episode.
Well, when were we talking about the bonus episode so much? We were talking about it recently because
that was Hodorowski's, because like Hodorowski's Dune
duh.
is the one that that was a couple episodes ago.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, during Hodorowski's Dune, we were talking about Villeneuve because I'm like,
You have to, yeah.
Dune, we like Dune, we like the book and the story, but and we obviously love Villeneuve.
I think he did. He did it. I'm want to say it real quick. He did it. He made it as perfect as you could to satisfy both parties.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's all I'm going to say. It's like he did it. There's nothing there are going to be diehard fans on each side that don't agree, but it's literally that he did it.
The only thing it's missing is the art department from the 80s, dude.
I know, and but even then, it's very consistent, and it does.
It does its own art style very well. You know.
I picture it. Yeah, I picture it from the book. I picture it very well from the book of how it is. I just don't think it has as much heart. Anyways, we can't do this again. Go listen.
Well,
Go
I mean,
listen
we like Villeneuve. We do.
I do. I love it.
Jordan doesn't like him as much, but.
Are you kidding me? I like him more than you.
He hates him.
I like him more than you do.
He says he's a fucking hack. He told me.
Yeah, I said Sheridan needs more. Needs more work.
Yeah, more Sheridan. Bring him back. Get him out of that Yellowstone space. Let's see what he can do.
I know. Yeah, he's not meant for the tiny screen. He's meant for the silver screen.
I know. He's a star. So Celtic Gaelic says, I bought this movie on Blu-ray. I love it. The composer said the score was inspired by the Jaws theme, but that drone you hear really made me think of the Skynet theme from Terminator 2. I can see that.
Oh, hell yeah. That's cool.
I can see that. Yeah, that's fun. Thanks. This person's, he also says in a different comment, same guy. I have to recommend another movie that I think works wonderfully as a companion piece is Traffic. It also stars Benicio del Toro, but Josh Brolin's dad plays a minor role too. That's fun.
That's cool.
That is a good, if you liked this, watch this. Traffic. I haven't seen it in a really long time. But I've
never seen it.
Traffic's pretty good. And that was the first movie I saw Benicio del Toro and was like, okay, I like this guy. This guy fucks. So Clones for People 2 says, just watched this a few hours ago and needed some time to process afterwards. That film was tense and very heavy. The film kept me on the edge as the pointless and cruel violence escalated, and I questioned the morality of it all. There was no right or wrong, only innocent victims and chaos. This was not the first time a Villeneuve film has made me feel this way, and the craft of this film is incredible. The cinematography is stunning, the score pushes the film along and amps the tension, At every moment I felt that shit was about to go down, but yet I still felt surprised when it did. Villeneuve is a master of making thought-provoking and engaging film. Can't wait to see what he does after Dune. Yeah, I'm excited.
Nice.
Yeah, thank you. I'm excited to see what he does after Dune, too, because I like to see him kind of come back down a little bit. But that's the thing. How do you get higher than Dune and Blade Runner? Like, you can't get more high-concept sci-fi than those two movies.
I mean, he could just he does an Avatar adaptation.
he remakes Avatar.
I'm like, really though, that's it. There's no other.
Can you
can't make anything bigger.
Can you imagine if there was some loophole where it's like he's like, oh, I can get the rights to Avatar and just remakes Avatar, even though James Cameron's got like 5 of them coming out.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Anyway,
Right.
let me pull up Travis.
Travis is up there, please.
Nope, I do not.
Thank you for commenting, everybody out there. We appreciate it.
I always like the comments. The comments.
If you wanna get more in the mix, we're really active on Reddit, and so our subreddit is r/coldest of knowledge. You can come over there and check us out, comment.
Yeah, please do. Come give us your thoughts. Come vote on the movies. All that good stuff.
Yeah, we love hearing from you guys.
You need to go on there but it's unfortunate because we always watch the movies so last minute. So
I do. Well, I have to, dude. I can't remember the movie if I watch it a week. I've tried that, watching it a week before we do this, and then I'm like,
I watched it on like Friday.
Oh, dude,
and I still was like, it wasn't until we're writing the synopsis. All right, here's Travis's.
Hey guys, I really enjoyed rewatching Sicario. As the caravan entered Juarez and were driving to and from picking up their prisoner to bring him to the U.S., I began to recognize some of the streets from Mexico City. Even the freeway overpass where those people were hanging from looked familiar. So after the movie, I looked it up, and sure enough, the scenes that were supposed to be in Juarez were actually shot in Mexico City. Turns out Juarez was too dangerous at that time to film there, which adds to the realism of this movie. What I like about Sicario is that it poses a moral question of how should the U.S. fight drug traffickers and the cartels. There's the ethical approach through law enforcement and the legal system. Then there's the outside the lines approach, which breaks our laws to get results. So I'm curious your guys' thoughts on that in real life. Do you see one approach being better than the other and slowing the amount of drugs coming into the U.S. from Mexico? Thanks.
Thanks, Travis. It's good to hear from you. This is actually a foreign policy podcast. So
I know, right? I was just about to say, it's like, we're
not
drugs
qualified to answer that question,
dude. That's a question that's like, it actually literally the only way you stop drug trafficking is the whole time I was watching this movie, I kept thinking like we're spending a lot of money on this, and it's like we could just have like universal health care, and like we could give people housing. And that would stop a lot of drug use. Like in this movie, the reason I say this movie is very pro is because he like victimizes people who do drugs. He's like, there's 20% of the population snorting it and smoking it. And I'm like, yeah, motherfucker, dude. There are people out there living some shit ass lives that don't have money, and drugs are a way to cope. So it's like I'm just kind of like, shut the fuck up.
I'm just like, let's just bring the drugs in, just let them happen, and then
legalize it, you dumb fucks. I mean, this is it. This is now we're an NPR podcast.
I know, it's true. I know. It's just like,
but
I want to be able to go down to 7-Eleven and buy my crystal meth.
100%, dude.
Honestly.
No, I'm dead serious.
Yeah.
Because it's like the second you legalize it, people like don't victimize you.
Well,
but anyways,
it works.
I think that's
it's not a bug, it's a feature, man, because the people,
100%.
We spend a lot of money on it, but it's taxpayer money, and the people who make the money, like, the war on drugs is fucking bullshit all the way from the the Wire, the streets of Baltimore,
from tip
to
tail, dude.
Tip to tail.
From tip to tail.
If it wasn't making some people fucking absolutely stupid rich, then we wouldn't do it. But
there are like,
so we do.
There's a large population that enjoy enacting the control that involves the violence involved.
Right.
Like that, and the people who love that. So that is a question that is like, it's an amazing question because it is huge, though. It's like huge. But I love Travis. You're like our Mexico expert.
I know.
Every time we watch a movie,
yeah,
every time we watch a movie that's in Mexico, you're like, been there. Were the bodies hanging when you went? Because fingers crossed they weren't there. I hope you're.
I know. I want to.
hope you're fine.
This is a shout out to I know he doesn't listen to it, but if he does, to Pablo, who is actually not our Mexico expert. Get a fucking life.
Right? He should be.
I love you. Call into the podcast and you can be the Mexican expert.
Yeah.
But too bad. You're not the expert of Mexico. Travis,
Pablo.
he gets the official expert of Mexico. I do like that. That always fun. That was fun with you two, Mama Tambien.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh yeah.
that was a lot of fun hearing that perspective, because obviously we're I don't know. Lived in. I've lived around a little bit, but no, I've never.
Yeah.
Yeah. What is this? The Midwest? No, this is like the Mountain West.
Dude, I literally I don't know what you call Utah.
I don't know. Utah,
I call
Wyoming,
it
Idaho,
Midwest,
like that's far away from Mexico as you can get in some.
It's like West Midwest.
Something like that. Anyway,
all right, you guys.
Watch Sicario
Thank
and
you.
form your own opinion, because you got two pretty opposite sides of the aisle type opinions. One thing that is totally agreed on this film is this: if you're a cinephile or appreciate filmmaking as an art form, from the technical aspect, obviously a lot of fucking hard work went into this movie to make it look so beautiful and sound so beautiful. So it's worth watching, at least for that. Everything else, take or leave however you like, but I still recommend it for that alone, at least. I think it's worth watching for sure to see.
Well, and I think it's in Denis Villeneuve's catalog, so I do feel like even just that to see a perspective on his creative outlet and like how his style.
Because honestly, I think you can see some traces of Dune with the desert kind of vibes.
Totally
in this,
even Arrival too. Arrival
for sure.
And like,
oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I definitely get like, his fingerprints on this too.
I want to go back and watch Incendies for sure. So anyway, that's Sicario. Watch at your own risk. So Denis Villeneuve, he's pretty good. So moving on. Next week, we're watching another guy. We voted. Did it end? Actually, I mean, I'm sure it's the same.
I think it's close. I know who won.
Yeah. So, we are doing Wes Anderson this week. We did a poll to vote on him, and we are watching. No surprise, it was close. It is close, but we are watching Grand Budapest Hotel next week, which I'm glad because I really enjoy it. But I feel like I can recommend this to more people, and so I hope. Like, I'm going to try and get my brother to watch it and try and get some people to watch it. I'm actually interested to see his opinion because he started watching Sicario. I'm interested to see his opinion when he finishes it. He watches it at the gym in 20-minute intervals, so we'll see.
He always has a wild perspective, too. I never know what Gat's going to say.
He'll say, if he says that to you, he's like, I'm an enigma, baby. Like, he always he says, like, you can't because you look at him and you're like, oh, he listens to this shit kicker country music, but then it's just like, I don't know.
But I mean, we are multifaceted. I understand that. Human beings
he's
can't judge a book, but
because remember we were like, we thought he was gonna love Northman and he hated it, and then he loved everything everywhere, and like,
I know, right? We're like, okay, cool, man. So I got to shout out Gat and all of our Patreon supporters.
Yeah,
you're amazing.
Yeah, he joined us.
But I'm glad
he's
that
asking for his stickers. He
us.
says you better send him his stickers.
I'll send him. I know. I gotta get your. I'll get your.
We'll get it. We'll get it figured. But you can join them. All these cool peeps on our Patreon. We got our other podcast on there that we do with our friend David, Cinema Ramble. A little more free flow. We got some bonus episodes, stickers. If you're real cool, there's access to our Plex server, which is just all the movies that we watch for the film club are just on there. So I buy them and put them on there. So
right. That's limited. That's only at a few available spots. So get in there quick.
Check them out. And Tim, if you are
Tim,
dude,
I'm gonna
reach out, send us an email, cultofcinemaKnowledge@gmail.com. If you are Tim, we will give you a discount on the Patreon.
100%. I'm gonna make a Tim tier now for Patreon.
Okay.
All right, guys.
Anyway, so thanks for listening. Obviously, go to the Reddit, check out all the stuff. Letterboxd, what are you watching? Go tell us the thingies, and go watch Grand Budapest and
delicious things
Tune in next week.
Yeah, go comment on the Reddit. Watch it and then comment on the Reddit and tell us what your thoughts are or whatever. So,
I mean, you can even come to our website and comment anywhere. Just find us out in the world.
yeah, I say you can attack Jordan on the streets.
Yeah.
I'll give you
Yeah.
give you his address and his route to work.
It is. What do you? It's right on 35th, baby.
Yeah.
All right. All right. You guys have a good night.
Bye.
Bye.